one thing that you absolutely can be certain of in the 52 Super Series is that every team can win races.
It's very competitive for sure. Yeah, one mistake, one small error, and you can be 0 to 0 in a heartbeat.
The difference between the top boat and the bottom boat of the fleet is really compressed this season, which has made the racing a huge amount closer.
If you're back, you just get pounded by everybody, and it's really, really hard to get through. That's why starting, having a clean lane off the line is just absolutely critical.
The 52 Super Series is an ultra competitive class, one of the most competitive in the world, and any boat out here can win a race, which is really awesome.
It's all about sailing, bring the boat over the starting line, trimming, tactician, helming, gear changing in the different conditions, wavy, flat water, strong wind, light wind.
I think it's going to be incredibly tight. There's 10 other teams that are really good, and you know, out of the 11 boats, it's going to be all on.
After a summer of intense racing, the final round of the 52 Super Series touched down in the stunning Mallorcan resort of Puerto Portals, fired up and ready to decide the overall series rankings at one of the most visited venues on the series.
Well, I think Puerto Portals has been a fantastic venue over the years for the hospitality side, the great conditions. This week, leading into the week, it's looking like we're going to have a bit of a variety, some lighter breezes, also some good wind with some big waves throughout the later part of the week. So there's going to be quite testing for all the teams, but we're also setting up for some quite close battles amongst the final 4 places of the podium. So it could be a lot of fun watching the sort of the top half of the fleet unfold.
Portals marks the 5th regatta of this Super Series season after some of the closest racing in the 11-year history of the series. 3 of the 4 events so far have been decided by just a single point. Leading the rankings, it's the team from Turkey.
Team Provezza has had a very, very strong season this year so far. We start winning the first 2 events, and if I have to be true, it was a little bit of a surprise, even for ourselves. But in the end, we prepared the boat, we did modifications last winter, so honestly we're very happy and proud the way we have sailed this season so far.
We started in Saint-Tropez, and you know, things were going well. We're sailing the boat fast, sailing well, not taking any risks, and it all came well for us. And then followed up with Scarlino. It was a bit of a surprise because we had quite a lot to do in the final day, and the points just ended up that we were at top of the leaderboard. That's what happens sometimes, things go your way.
Ergin Imre's Provezza team have been racing TP52s since the series began back in 2012. With 2 regatta wins this season, the team have doubled their overall event success rate and now sit 18 points clear in the rankings as they chase their first ever series podium finish.
Provezza's evolution in the Super Series is being of a big growth. And slowly the boat has been evolving and the team has been evolving until Ergin has found the right mix of people that had a very good relationship and enjoy sailing with each other and are bringing a good performance to the team. So it's been a long trip and a nice journey.
It's been a stellar year for the Turkish team, but they've not had things all their own way. The 3rd event of the series was a close call and kick-started a charge from Hahn Müller-Sprier's German team, Platoon.
The feeling of the team was like not having good first 2 regattas. We are gaining in the competition and in the performance a lot, and the self-confidence increased a lot. So it was a really good feeling to win finally in Mallorca.
A win in Event 3 set the German team up perfectly for Event 4, the World Championships in Barcelona. They kicked things off with a win, but 2 races later, they were at the back of the fleet.
Obviously, after the first race, we were happy. And after just a few seconds later, we were not exactly so happy about that. But as I always say, the good crew, you can see the good crew when they have a bad moment, not when they have a good moment. 3, 2, 1, go down a little. A little. Okay, good. Right here. Very nice mode.
From there, the team were never out of the top 3. A pair of seconds and a third, followed by another win. And going into the final race, they held the slenderest of leads over Provezza.
You have to sail every single race like a normal race. Otherwise, you're beating yourselves. You have to trust in your potential and the potential of your team and do the best what you can do and hope the best. That's the only thing what you can do. So you have to take it like a normal day.
It's you on the line. It's you on the line.
Up. 3 minutes. Full, Sean, full.
I can remember very well, we sailed the last race really well, stayed calm all the time and said to ourselves, we need to grab our chances.
Fighting for their first ever World Championship win, Provezza led the final race.
We climbed up to the 4th place on the second upwind mark, so far I remember, and then we gained another 2 boats on the downwind leg, on the final downwind, and that was enough. So we won the World Championship. That was close.
It's not a matter to be unbeatable, but it's a matter to be confident that you did exactly what was in your plan, you know, and I think that what we did was good. We were obviously very, very happy.
There was like an explosion after crossing the finish line. Everybody was screaming, so it was a good, really good experience.
And so to Puerto Patals, the final regatta of the season. Throughout 2023, all but 2 of the 11-boat fleet have won races, but one of them returns to Mallorca with a special fondness for racing out in the Bay of Palma.
Yeah, Puerto Patals does have good memories for the Phoenix racing team. Last year we won here. It was the first win for us as a team in 5 years of being on the circuit. So yeah, a huge buzz in the team coming here, and we always, we've always looked forward to it. Then after last year, coming here this year gives us a good feeling. We've struggled a bit this season, so coming back to a venue we know we can do well at, is good for us as a team.
Well, Phoenix missed one of the events this season, so we're not in the hunt to win the year. But we are perfectly capable of doing well in the event. And our last event we finished 4th. Feel like we have a little bit to improve on from that. We'd love to see ourselves get onto the podium if we can.
So with just 10 races left to sail, it's Ergin Imre's Provezza defending a lead over German boat Platoon.
Honestly, if you look at the numbers, it's not so close. Provezza is like 18 points ahead. That's quite a big margin. They won 2 events and came 2 times second. And if we can beat them, I would wish we were beating them, but it would be hard work and hard week.
Day 1 in Puerto Patals was lost to poor wind, but the Bay of Palma delivered on day 2, a stiff 20 knots firing the fleet across the start line as racing got underway. On the first upwind, much of the fleet took the left option, and Platoon very quickly had an advantage over title leaders Provezza. By the windward mark, Tony Langley's Gladiator, currently 3rd on the overall standings, had a healthy lead they never let slip. Platoon rounded the top mark down the fleet in 6th place. A disappointing start to the regatta, but Provezza was still nowhere to be seen. By the start of the first downwind, Provezza were playing catch-up right at the back of the fleet. And by the finish, Gladiator held on to win the race ahead of Allegre, while Platoon managed to fight all the way through to 3rd, just beating Quantum Racing on the line. Crossing the line down in 9th, Provezza's 18-point series lead had dropped to just 12 points after one race sailed. Drama already in race 1 then, but race 2 would provide an unwelcome sequel as a bunched-up fleet sought to gain from a biased start line. A potentially series-defining moment was unfolding at the committee boat end. Title hopefuls Platoon involved in a 3-boat collision with Gladiator and Sled. The only options for the 2 damaged boats: return home, Sled and Platoon out of racing, but for how long was still to be determined. Out on the Bay of Palma, racing continued. Provezza failed to take full advantage of Platoon's misfortune with a 6th and a 2nd. Quantum did their podium hopes no harm with a 4th and a 3rd. But the winner on the day, last year's regatta champions, Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, it turned out very nicely at the end with winning the last race, but we just tried to keep in the game all day long. Well, I think we were just staying away from trouble. I mean, there was some trouble in the second race that caught up several boats, and then there was, of course, it was easy to get yourself just into a difficult place in between boats, and we just tried to stay away and play the shifts. And the guys did a great job keeping the boat going fast. The boat handling was perfect, and it was nice.
For the final round of its 5-regatta tour, the 52 Super Series is in Puerto Patals, where the Bay of Palma provides a world-class sailing venue for the 11-boat fleet as they fight it out in one of the series' closest finishes. With the damage sustained in an eventful day 1 of racing now repaired, all 11 of the fleet would be out on the racecourse to resume the fight for the series title. But at the other end of the rankings, results from day 1 had given series rookies Alpha Plus something to celebrate.
Race 2 was a little milestone for us. We won the race and we led start to finish, which was a really nice feeling. But in this fleet, consistency is more important than winning a race. So although we were happy with the first place, the race after that wasn't so good. So there was also a little rock under the pillow when we went to bed that night.
2023 has been the first year on the series for this team, and although it's taken just 5 regattas to pick up a race win, they have embraced the challenge of transferring sailing success in Hong Kong to mixing it up on the Super Series.
It's been tough. Just looking at the results, obviously we knew the learning curve was going to be really, really steep. We knew there was going to be plenty of things we'd need to work on, but also we expected that, and so that's given us a lot of confidence that we're seeing things correctly.
Their search for success has seen the team augment their afterguard for Puerto Patals, adding Australian Olympic gold medalist Tom Burton.
Yeah, I guess the Super Series for me is kind of real high up there on something that I was always wanting to do. Awesome sailors are here. I've always watched it on YouTube and all the coverage. So, and the teams are stacked with sailing talent, and the racing's always super close. So to be involved has been a goal for many years, but it's just difficult to get a slot opening. And with a new team, it was an awesome opportunity to slot right in.
All the teams would need to bring their A game for the second day of racing. Winds of over 20 knots and a fierce swell would greet them out in the bay. But with all 11 boats ready to race, the title fight was back on. Title hopefuls Platoon would head out with redress points, awarded after missing the previous 2 races. Palm Muller Sprea's team were now 15 points behind Provezza, with 7 races still to come. The drama, however, was not over. Before the boats crossed the start line, Platoon was back in with continued rigging problems. But in a cruel twist, so too were series leaders Provezza, a serious rig issue seeing them out for the entire day. Out on the racecourse, conditions were brutal. Experience was the key as the fleet battled a confused and violent sea state. The crew on board Phoenix were having another stellar day, picking up 2 more first places in the tough conditions. Tony Langley's Gladiator picked up a race win, their 2nd of the regatta, while Quantum Racing kept their hopes of an overall podium place alive in the challenging conditions. Rigging issues fixed, Platoon even made it back out onto the racecourse, posting a 3rd place in the final race of the day. Performance of the day, though, went to a very tired Phoenix.
Today was rugged. Big waves, some interesting shifts, and it was important just to keep it simple and do all the simple things right. So the guys did a great job with that today.
Of the 10 previous years of Super Series regattas, 1 team have won the overall title an impressive 5 times. Here in Puerto Petals, Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, are fighting for a spot on the overall podium, having sailed the 2023 season with a new youth-driven focus. The team have several new up-and-coming young sailors involved, an initiative developed in conjunction with the team's America's Cup involvement with challenger American Magic. Going into this final regatta in 3rd overall, it's a process that's obviously been working well.
Exit actually hasn't straightened. The program's gone great. You know, I think the fact is that it's a process, and often Quantum Racing, we're about winning. We're still about winning, but we're also about developing these young sailors on an accelerated path to being world class.
Sailing for Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, has been a huge pleasure. I'm very lucky to get the opportunity to sail with such great people and such a great program. We've learned a lot this season, and probably mostly about starting and maybe a little bit more of the match racing side of sailing.
It's an amazing opportunity to step up into this fleet and to be sailing with some of the best sailors in the world and the biggest names in the game. So having that opportunity is incredible, and the more you sail with and around a lot of these guys, the better you get.
The TP52 is an incredible race boat to race. The whole fleet is incredibly tight. We're basically bow to stern around most marks, and the boat's very big and fast. So at the same time, you're racing with a lot of people, it turns into a lot of fun.
Back on the dock, and with 2 more races completed, taking the regatta total to 8 so far, the fight for the title has gone down to the very last day of the series. After problems with their rig, Provezza worked hard to get back on the water, but when they did, they came out fighting, posting a win and a 3rd place on the penultimate day of the regatta.
We are at this position that we made the points on Quantum already, so we got nothing to lose. We can't get worse than 2nd, so all we have to do is sail good races and try to beat them, and we had nothing to lose, so we are really in really good shape.
For Platoon, with the agreed redress system still in effect, the numbers were complicated. But with 2 races to go, conversation on the dock suggested they were in for a fight.
We have been 18 points back. Agin has so much bad luck. I'm really sorry for him. But today is the last day and it's wide open. The good news, we can't drop to the 3rd place because there's a margin of over 30 points. And everything is still possible. Let the best team win.
Before the boats even crossed the start line, the 2 title hopefuls had engaged. Provezza attempting to hold back Platoon as the fleet assembled for what would be the only start of the day. In the middle of the pack, Quantum Racing had a good clear lane as the first upwind leg got underway. They needed to beat Gladiator to guarantee third place in the overall ranking. While out the back, locked in their own private tussle, Platoon and Provezza. The form team out in the Bay of Palma this week continued to lead the fleet. By the first upwind mark, Phoenix was already at least a boat length ahead of Alegre. That lead continued into the first downwind, Alegre pushing hard in second, Phoenix looking like regatta winners out in front. For Provezza, the goal was simple: finish 4 spots ahead of Platoon, and the overall title was in the bag. Down to the first downwind gate, Phoenix, with one last kite drop, had extended their lead over the rest of the fleet. But as the title contenders rolled through, Provezza was ahead of Platoon as they dropped their spinnaker at the bottom gate. But would they have enough places between them? Platoon in the background dropped and rounded the opposite gate. The final upwind leg of the series, and it was a game of nerves. Provezza squeezing as much speed and upwind angle as they could, trying to get boats between them and Platoon. On the final turn for home, Phoenix rounded first, Tony Norris taking another regatta win in Puerto Patals. While in their wake, the series rankings were being decided, Quantum squeezing ahead of Gladiator in that race for third place overall. And preparing for the hoist, Provezza, now up into 6th place. They've sailed a great race, but it's all about Platoon as well. They will not go away, rounding in 8th, 1 leg to go, and the title is currently with the Germans. There were no surprises by the finish line. Phoenix wrapping up the regatta at what must be their favourite Super Series venue with another win. Provezza sailed hard for the line, every point counting in the final race for the top of the podium. They crossed in 6th place, but were immediately focused on what was going on behind. Heading to the line, Platoon needed 8th place to win the series outright. But at the committee boat end, Vayu was crossing ahead of them. A 9th place for Platoon to then tie the series on points with Provezza. The title would go to Countback. There were no doubts about the regatta win. South Africa's Phoenix taking the Puerto Patals title for the 2nd year running.
I think we just managed all the conditions very well because we were light winds, big sea state. So just keeping it simple through all of it.
And the 2023 Super Series winners tied on points with Provezza, but winning the title courtesy of their higher finish here at the regatta in Puerto Patals, Harm Muller-Spreer's Platoon.
Oh my God! I mean, when I woke up in this morning, I felt really bad for Provezza if they are not winning the season. So much bad luck, and we had a little bit of luck today. We managed to climb up. We started in this week with 80 points behind, and finally we made it. And I'm a little proud of my team. They're good.
The team has been improved, but you make normally small jumps. And last year I think we were 5th or 6th or something like that. So if someone tells me at the beginning of the season you're going to finish 2nd, impossible. And we almost win. So it's been a big jump. Let's hope we can continue rolling, and next year we keep the same level and we get it next year.
For me, the competition was so hard and so competitive this year. I have to give a big applause to all the opponents. It was a great feeling, and it is still a great feeling. Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest deal you could achieve, winning the Worlds. and winning the total season, that's a proper achievement. That's great.
But in a season packed full of drama, there was still one final twist.
Team Platoon is not accepting this trophy, not having Provezza here on stage.
An amazing climax to the season. Equal on points, toe-to-toe around the racetrack all year, Platoon and Provezza both accept the 2023 52 Super Series trophy, the first ever joint winners of the series in a year that so many will never forget.